Hey guys, it's your boy TZ Swivel. I'm back with my first Harry Potter Quidditch video. Today I'm going to be talking about the best build for the Seekers. So let's get into it. So first, for Seekers, we have three classes: the Seeking, the Defense, and the Disruption class. So for the Seeking class is technically the attacking class. I chose to just put 3 levels into this because when I was playing before, I noticed that if you put 6 levels into it, it doesn't make a difference, because these last 3 ones, it doesn't really matter if you're close to the snitch within 10 meters. It fills up 5% faster. You don't really notice a difference, and it's not gonna be that beneficial to you in PvP, because there's a lot of times that people attack you when you have the Seeker, especially the beaters. So you're not always gonna be within 10 meters, because 10 meters is technically the range that you're supposed to be within to catch the snitch. So it's kind of hard to stay within that range. The next one would be level 3 snitch chase, which would increase your fill meter by 2%. I don't think this is necessary, because with the other 2 I have, it's not gonna make a big difference if you get 6, because you don't really notice the big difference when the meter is filling up by 2%, to be honest, especially since a lot of times you're gonna be back and forth with the other opponent Seeker, so it's sometimes you're gonna miss the rings and stuff. So another one would be, so when flying through the ring, you boost your energy by 100% instead of 30%. You're not gonna really need this in PvP, because a lot of times you're not gonna miss more than 3 rings in a row, and if you miss 3 rings in a row, then you should probably go back and practice a little bit more, because otherwise you're not gonna be effective in PvP if you're missing your rings all the time. So you don't really need this one, because a lot of the times you hit 3 in a row, so you're always going to be consistently boosting. The only time you don't really fly through the rings with the snitches, when it goes to the end of each side and it turns around off the borderline. So this one's useless in my opinion, so that's why I left the snitch meter fill rate increased by 2%, and the buff ring duration, this is effective because just in case you fall behind, you're still able to get a boost and still obtain progress towards your fill meter rate. So this one's still good. And of course, you always wanna enable your meter bar to fill up as fast as it can. So I think 4% is the best for the best build, and this 4% is the best. You don't need 6% at all. So on to defense. So I decided to do 3 levels into this one as well, because the last 3 levels you don't need unless you're really gonna play defensive. Technically this build is an all-around build, that's why I believe it's the best build. So because you could either go more attacking or you could go more defensive, but I chose to go all 3, and this is what I found to be the most effective on PvP. So for defense, the first one is helpful, which is if you're falling behind you could gain you still gain the meter fill rate, because a lot of times enemies are gonna bump you, and or beaters are gonna throw the plunger at you, so if you get hit, you're gonna obviously fall behind. So this one helps you to still be in the game even when you fall behind. The next one would be the dodge speed boost. This is a great one, because when you dodge the plunger, a lot of the times it throws you off course to get the next ring. So this 15% speed boost helps you keep you in the game, because when you do the spin roll, it slows you down a bit, so that gives enough time for the enemy to get in front of you and probably catch the snitch. But if you successfully dodge a plunger, which a lot of times you're gonna have to, you're gonna get an automatic 15% speed boost, and that could be the difference between you catching the snitch or not. And the third one would be another buff to the distance that your meter fills up. The last three ones you don't really need, in my opinion, and they're not really the best for this build, or for the best build, because the bump parry is really not that effective, because you already have L1. You already have L1 to deflect or like dodge the plunger, so this is only effective if you kind of want to get rid of the beater at the same time. So you could probably take 1% out of here. If you want to be more defensive, you could take one of the levels out of here, which would be this snitch chase 2, and you could put it into here, so when a blunger's coming, you have the option of both parrying or dodging. So it's up to you, but I don't really think it's that effective. Next would be you don't really need the third level into the distance if you're far behind, because you want to be on the attack as well. You don't want to be playing behind in defense. So this one's not too effective. It's not, I wouldn't say it's useless, but you already have 2 buffs into distance meters, so your bars are already filling at a fast rate, and I didn't see a big difference, so it's not really worth your time putting a level into this one, into the third level of the snitch meter distance. And the last one, reduce damage taken from all stuns by 1. You don't really need this one, because the stuns don't really do that much of a big damage to you. It's like only 1 damage, depending on if it's a beater it might be more, but most of the times if it's just a chaser or the other seeker that's bumping you or something, or tackling you, then you're really not gonna be taking that much damage to be eliminated from a plunger right after. So the level 6 thick skin is useless, and you don't really need it. On to the next class, which would be disruption. This class is important, so for this build, and I put 4 levels into it. The first level would be the bump damage. This is beneficial because if you bump the seeker, you could potentially do a little 2-piece play with your beater, and you could bump the seeker, and then right after, once the seeker is bumped, he's gonna be stunned for a bit. And when the opponent seeker is stunned, the beater could hit the plunger with hit the opponent with the plunger, and this will eliminate the opponent. So technically this is really beneficial in PvPs to have, and that's why I chose it for the best build. On to the next one would be that bumps home in on the enemy seeker if they are within 10 meters of you. This one's beneficial because a lot of times you're going to be back and forth with the opponent's seeker, especially in PvP, and you want to be able to, if you're trying to catch back up or something, you want to be able to have them be able to bump him from as far as you can, and this lets you bump him easily from far away compared to not having it on. So this is always beneficial, especially since you already have 1 damage, so this could really change the game for you if you bump him, and then with that +1 damage and the +2 damage and a plunger hits him, they'll be eliminated right after. So that would be level 3, and then level 4 would be mass meter thief, which is bumping the enemy seeker. Now steals up to 10% of the snitch, which is really beneficial, really useful in PvP, because sometimes you need to get back in the game, so a little bump could help you steal 10% of the meter from him, and that could help you catch the snitch before the other seeker. This is a real game changer, this one, in PvP. So that's why I believe these are the best levels to put into your classes for Seek and Defense and Disruption, and you should follow these ones for the best build, because in the other disruptions you don't really need it. The only disruption I say is probably really beneficial and you might want to change your build kind of to use it would be disruption level 6, which would be this ring disappears after 1 second. This one is really useful because it'll cancel out the ring buff for the opponents if they have that on, and 1 second after it'll enable them. Well, it won't enable them, it'll make it harder for them to gain progress on their meter fast, and so this one would also be beneficial. So you could probably take off these 2 and then go level 6, take off 2 and attacking, and then go level 6 or disruption, or you could take 2 off of defense and then, or you could take 1 off of defense and 1 off of seeking, and then you could go level 6 disruption. But this is the best balanced build there is, and it's been really useful on PvP. So another thing we should talk about is the broom. The brooms are very important because depending on if you're a seeker or a beater or keeper, you want to use certain brooms to help you gain an advantage. So on to the brooms. First we have clean sweep. This is the broom I usually use for the seeker. I believe it's the best broom for the build to use for this seeker build, because you have a balance between speed and agility, which means that you're gonna be fast in keeping up with the seeker and the snitch, but you're also gonna be able to be agile to maneuver where the snitch is and also dodge the bulges more easily than you would be if the agility was lower. So you have you could either use the clean sweep. Another one I like to use is the Nimbus because of its speed. That means this would be more beneficial for a defensive build, because you could be behind the player and playing defense and bumping him and still gaining and keeping up to him without sacrificing too much on the agility. And then the last one I would use is the Swift Stick. This one is, I don't have it unlocked yet, but this one will give you 5 levels into agility and 4 into speed, which will make you more agile than both of the other 2 brooms, which I think is really good and beneficial on PvP, and you should use it. Depends on which one is your playstyle, which broom you like the best and you maneuver the best with. But you have the 3 options: the Swift Stick, the Nimbus, or the clean sweep for the Seeker. So that's it, guys. That's all for this video. I hope you liked the video and you enjoyed it. I'll be posting more videos later on in the future. So please don't forget to subscribe and like for more content in the future. Take care, guys. It's your boy TZ Swavel out.